Okay, it's 2 o'clock. I will call the special meeting for the Harrison County Commission to order for Friday, March 25th, 2022. We are going to dispense with the invocation and pledge and get right to business to review, discuss, consider 22-23 budget. Mr. Hinkle, are you on Zoom? Commissioner Hinkle.
Yes.
Laura?
First, we'll go with the general fund revenue summary. As we go down through the revenue summary, as you can see,
What are you starting out with?
the revenue summary,
And when did you?
general fund. I'm sorry, what was that?
You've sent me so many emails and spreadsheets. I'd like to know which one I'm looking at.
It is the revenue summary that
It says Harrison County, West Virginia, fiscal year July 1, 22 to June 30. There is budgeted revenues for 21-22 and budgeted revenue, a column for budget revenues for 2022 and 2023. It's a 3-page document.
have you found that one, Commissioner Hinkle?
Go ahead.
So pretty much all with the revenues, I kept the numbers pretty much the same as last year. I did increase the levy rate. And then also I added to payroll reimbursements. The total with everything or budgeted revenue for 2022-2023 comes to $23,856,345. Do we have any questions about that?
So how did the gas and oil severance stay the same?
I went through every line item with bookkeeping to see what we've had in the past couple years and to see what has actually come in versus what is budgeted. And this is the number that I came up with. It's lowballing it compared to the oil and gas numbers.
It's lowballing. So with that number, then you're saying you took to the low side?
Yes.
Okay. Why a 200,000 increase in payroll reimbursements?
Because we have a reimbursement also from the school board that is added in and the extension service, and also for the solid waste authority for the litter control officer.
I'd like to see a breakdown of that, please. And I guess my next question is you determined the 13.1, what would the budget been if we hadn't have done that?
The budget would not have balanced if we wouldn't have did the 13.1. I used the 12.7 that we've used for the past couple years. Also, I know the maximum that we could go up to, but to make our budget balance.
Okay, I'm in a commission meeting right now. Thank you. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
So what were you saying? Well, which came first, this number or your budget? That's what I'm trying to understand why we're here. I would have thought we'd have been here after we worked through the budget worksheets to know what the number was we needed to attain. Why are we working on this before we've been through the budget? Susan?
Because this was an auditor's recommendation to start with this.
Okay, again, my question is, why are we not seeing what our budget is before we determine what that number is?
Would you like to go through the budget first for each department?
That's what would have made sense to me before we determined what our income was going to be from property taxes.
Okay, then.
It might be 14, I don't know, it might go down to 12. We haven't been through the budget yet.
Okay, let's start with the county commission, 401.
You want to take it line by line? How do you want to do this, David? Do you want to go line by line, or did you get a chance to look at it? Do you have any questions?
Susan, I got this Thursday afternoon or Wednesday afternoon, and I've asked questions and not received answers. So we're going line by line. I've got all afternoon. So let's start with salary and wages.
Can you put this up on the screen? The official salaries, that is
I know that one, 03.
03, salary and wages of all employees that fall under the county commission, also including the litter control officer.
So we budgeted 550 and 122, and this year we're going to 740. Why the huge increase?
The increase we have budgeted for the litter control officer and also a 2% raise for the employees.
So out of that 740, what represents 2% increase?
I would have to look at the worksheets on my desk for all my calculations. I did not think that you would want to.
What tab could I flip to in my workbook to see that?
You don't have to be this way, David. I'm sorry.
Susan, I'm going to tell you what, this is a travesty that we're sitting here going over this budget today when it's due on Monday, and we haven't been given any information on how these numbers were arrived at. Be this way, this is called being responsible. This is being irresponsible. The question's been asked. What represents the 2%? Go get your worksheets.
Commissioner Hinkle, you hired me to do day-to-day operations. This includes figuring out the salaries and the budget. That is what I have done.
Again, what's the 2% increase? What does that represent out of the 740? Please answer the question.
Give me 1 second. have to go get on my worksheet. If you want breakdown.
You have the salaries and the increase.
I
Not
calculated,
each one, not each person.
I have it with each person, and then I have it with the salaries equal, and then with the 2%. See, and then I have to bring them out here.
Now, bring it all out here.
Susan, I'd also like to know which number represents Mr. Tree Cost. I see a guest, a guest, a guest, and a guest. Have nothing to show me that Mr. Tree Cost is participating.
He's here in the room. Would you please identify yourself, Commissioner Treecost?
Yes, Madam President.
Does that make you happy?
Never, yes, ma'am. I had no idea if he was by phone or there.
Can I ask something just all the way?
Sure.
Just for my own, this represents like the income that comes in.
Yeah.
Like here where it's like reimbursement for like for wages or whatever, that would represent like what we bring into the school board.
That's what I understand.
Or something, with payroll reimbursement.
Revenues that you expect to bring in, and then you pay them out of.
Into the general fund. But like here where it says like sheriff's commission, we probably pay that out of another fund into this fund, that's paying ourselves. I say it doesn't, but that's just my own knowledge. 'Cause I don't understand.
Where's it at, Rob? What page,
The one that I was.
what line is it?
Let me see if I can find it.
Oh, I see it, 367.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
I would assume that's
something that you all bring in.
bring in.
Yeah.
This is the one payroll, it's like we could include that from the school. We bring in 360,000 a year from the school for that's only 200,000. Yeah, maybe it goes.
I mean, it's for revenue. It could be
Incoming.
reduced or, right, income,
Right.
yeah.
I emailed myself the document. $12,491 is the 2% increase.
I just had her make 3 if you
Yeah,
guys
that's
can all
all.
share.
I apologize.
So what's the balance of the increase?
I mean, the increase on top of the
Well, I
wages?
mean, we're at 740. She said 12,000 was for payroll, the 2%.
2%, we,
So you just take 12% from 740. You still got, so
we're at 637,033, and then on top of that, you add in the litter control officer. That is how I came up with the 740.
$12,000 and change from 740 leaves you how much money?
I don't understand your question. Can you please repeat?
Your recommendation is 740,000. You said 12,000 and some change is the 2% pay raise, correct? Or is
Correct.
it- So if I move that out, that leaves 728,000.
And then did you,
And if I take the 550 from 728, I still don't understand where the increase is going from last year's budget of 550 to 740.
where are you coming up with 550?
From last year.
Budgeted expense for last
That's the,
year, we had 550. I'm asking why we went up $200,000. I haven't gotten that answer. That's what I'm
she
looking for.
did, but she can answer it again.
Okay, answer.
The salaries that are under,
Can I say something before we go any
You
farther?
know what, Susan? You can say whatever you want. I'm asking the question. And if you
I
don't
know
like
you're asking,
the way I asked it, that's okay. I really don't care.
I know you don't care, so I probably shouldn't say what I'm going to say.
Go ahead, because I probably
I wanna
shouldn't
say
answer
it.
back to you.
I would like for everyone that's sitting in this room and not sitting in this room to listen to me. I am sick and tired of this fighting and the infighting. I'm not saying you guys here, we're fighting. I would like for us all to be able to sit down and calmly discuss this kind of thing, because we're going to be facing some struggles, I'm afraid, in the coming years. And I think we all need to be adult about this to sit down and come to a solution and figure out how we could get through this. But right now, I think we need to learn we need to settle down and get through this year's budget right now, and then look to the future in the future. But please, can we be cordial to each other and not have to be sarcastic and just be, respectful to each other? Just because it's going on in the world today and outside today, doesn't mean it has to happen in this room right now. So I would like for us all, please, to calmly talk about this budget so we can get through it. Thank you for letting me interrupt you, Commissioner Hinkle. Okay, you want to give him the answer from the difference of the 550?
The 740 comes from the salaries plus the 2% increase for the employees, and then the litter control officer on top of that we will be reimbursed for. I believe you got it.
Okay. Mr. Hinkle, are you still with us? Okay, let's go on.
Do you have any questions on any of the expenses in 401?
Did you have anything else that you wanted to point out to us in 401? Anything?
401, we made a line item for capital outlay for cruisers, so we can get some cruisers for the sheriff's office. Then that way we'll pay the lease payment from here moving forward out of our budget, and the sheriff won't have to worry about that payment. We'll take care of it, just like he has the West Main Street property. Although it's his building, we take care of the payment for that.
Which line item is that?
45901.
Out of commission expenditures?
Correct.
Does this cover what the sheriff needs?
The sheriff asked for 300,000 for cruisers. While it will not get him all the cruisers he was asking for, we'll get him as many as possible.
Okay, somehow I lost connection, but on 2301, my recommendation is terminate Zimmerman's 150,000, and then 23-00, cut that to 200,000.
Commissioner Hinkle, we just probably 2 months ago, you guys voted to renew Zimmerman's contract.
That was before I knew what the budget was, and not knowing what professional services are made up of and how we arrived at 334,000. Again, I make a recommendation for 200, terminate Zimmerman. We survived without a lawyer for years, let alone at that cost. That puts 350, or puts 150 and puts 280,000 back into the general budget.
Do you have any other recommendations for 401?
No.
Are there any revisions we need to approve, or do you want to wait until the end? what exactly would be the pleasure of the commission.
I mean, I don't know if we should take them one by one.
Is this a work session or a regular meeting?
Regular meeting. I move that we accept 401 as presented by the administrator.
I make an amendment to reduce the two items. $2,300 from 334,961 to 200,000. And 2301 services to Zimmerman to 0.
Now, I'm going to stand with my motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
What are we voting on?
The budget that was presented for 401, County Commission.
No.
Four oh two, county clerk. Do you have any questions? Susan?
No, I don't have any questions.
Commissioner Hinkle, do you have any questions about 402?
Move to approve.
Okay, the motion's been made to approve 402's budget, the county clerk. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Okay. Hearing none, motion carried. Well, no, motion carried with the opposition of the.
Okay, we're on to 403.
I have no questions.
I do want to point out the elected officials budget request first. My recommendation looks so far off, but he did not have FICA or retirement included in his.
I have no questions.
Commissioner Hinkle, do you have any questions?
Motion to approve budget requested by tax office.
Okay, this is the circuit clerk's office. 403 is the circuit clerk's office.
No, I'm sorry, I went down one.
But so if you want to go ahead and move to the tax office,
No, circuit clerk will stay with staff's recommendation. Move to
Okay.
approve.
okay? Any discussion? We've already had our chance. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, now we'll do the tax office, 404.
Motion to approve request by tax office.
Motion to approve
Numbers.
the tax office 404 as presented. Is that correct?
No, ma'am, as requested by the sheriff's department.
Okay,
Motion approved as administrator's recommendation.
okay, the motion's been made to accept as the staff's recommendation from the administrator. All in favor signify
No,
by
ma'am,
saying
I made a motion to pass a budget as presented by the sheriff.
And Mr. Treecost made the motion to approve staff's recommendation. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Okay, now I'll take your motion, which was to pass the requested budget from the sheriff. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
No. 405, prosecuting attorney's office.
Move to approve.
What are we
As
approving?
presented
Staff
by
recommend,
staff.
okay. Motion's been made to approve staff recommendation regarding prosecuting attorney's budget number 405. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next is the assessor.
Motion approved, staff recommendation.
Motion to approve staff's recommendation on the assessor's 406 budget. Any
I'd like to
discussion?
make a motion. I'd like to make a motion that we pass the requested budget of the assessor at $1,395,138.
Okay, the motion's been made to pass the requested budget of assessor's 406. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
No.
Staff recommendation.
Now, we'll take the staff recommendation.
Let me ask questions here.
Staff recommendation. Motion was made. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Statewide computer 408.
Motion approved.
Motion to approve staff's recommendation. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Extension service, which is 412.
This has the note in it that they already have it in that introduction.
That is correct.
Motion approved.
I'd like
Motion.
a question on why the increase in the salaries and wages.
This is, they had an administrative assistant in the past that was not filled. And then, so this includes that full portion.
So the requested budget that's represented here is something that they turned in originally. Who did the requested budget?
They turned in, Miss Samantha from the extension office.
And your recommendation is at 152 total?
Yes, sir.
My motion is to approve the requested budget by the Extension Service Office as presented in their request.
Sir, I would like to,
115,223. That's my motion.
I just want to make it known that they did not include retirement on their request. And that's why it looks like mine is more, the overall total.
That's not my fault. That was their request. 115,223. My motion's to approve their requested budget.
Motion approved as the administrator has stated. As
Well,
recommended.
I gotta take, but you made a motion to accept it to begin with,
Yes,
right? And
yes.
then he made the second motion,
Right,
correct?
so you
So we
gotta
gotta
do his
take his motion.
Right.
Okay. Motion was made by Commissioner Hinkle to pass the requested budget from the Extension Service at 115,222, correct, Mr. Hinkle?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, now the motion, the previous motion to accept the staff recommendation. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Okay, motion carried. 413, county clerk election budget.
Motion approved administrator's recommendation.
Motion to approve administrator's recommendation. Any discussion?
Yes, ma'am. Motion to accept requested budget by the county clerk for elections as presented of $290,044.
Under election 413, I do want to point out that originally, I believe that the budget, when it was submitted, you were thinking that there were 2 elections for that fiscal year. But after talking to Mr. Spires, and we only have 1 election for the upcoming fiscal year, that's why it got cut back and there's such a difference between the 2. I just want to point that out.
Thank you. Motion on the floor.
Did the county clerk send out an adjusted requested budget?
He did not. We did talk verbally on the phone about it.
Then I'll continue with my motion to approve $290,044 as requested.
Okay, the motion's been made to pass the budget for the elections in the amount that was requested from the county clerk. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No. And I hope you understand, John, why I'm. Okay.
Hey,
Motion.
John. Tried, buddy. Hope you understand. Hope you understand, tried.
Did you make a motion?
Yeah.
Okay, you made the,
Motion
Commissioner
approved.
Treecost made the motion to approve the staff's recommendation for the election county clerk 413 budget. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Approved Magistrate Court 415.
Motion to approve Magistrate Court 415. Any discussion? Let's see this goes here. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Move on to circuit.
Susan, I don't know who made the motion. Was that you or Patsy?
It was Commissioner Treecost.
If you could ask him to speak up, I would appreciate it.
Can you speak up, please, Commissioner Treecost? Okay. Circuit Court Mental Hygiene 416. What's the pleasure?
Motion approved.
Did you hear him?
No.
The motion, he made a motion to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Okay, next is 424, County Courthouse.
Motion approved County Courthouse as staff recommendation.
Motion's been made to approve 424 pursuant to staff's recommendation. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Motion carried.
Motion approved Regional Jail.
It's regional.
Regional dues.
Region 6. Motion has been made to approve regional dues, Region 6, 429. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried.
Motion approved Planning Department 439.
Motion's been made to approve Planning Department 439. Any discussion?
Yes, ma'am. Make an amendment to that motion to remove item from of 150,000, 58-01 nuisance ordinance. A levy was passed to take care of the tearing down of buildings by the people of Harrison County. We do not need to include that in our budget and need to return it to the general fund.
Mr. Treecost, do you want to amend your motion?
No.
Okay. Mr. Treecause does not want to amend his motion, so the motion is on the floor. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Opposition. 699 contingency.
Excuse me, was my motion not voted on?
You didn't make a motion, you made a motion you wanted
Yes,
to
ma'am, I made a
amend.
motion. I made it, okay. Very, very fine, thank you.
Motion approved contingency.
Motion has been made to approve 699 contingency. Any discussion?
I would like to make note of the reason there's money in contingency, that is for the elected officials' raises. When we submit it to the auditor's office, it will be with the current salary of every elected official. Once they approve that the county can afford it, then they'll give us the approval. So that's why there's money in contingency. I just want to make that clear.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Law enforcement, 700.
Motion approved 700, law enforcement.
Motion has been made to approve law enforcement 700. Any discussion?
That's a question.
Yes, ma'am, I make a motion to accept the budget as presented by the sheriff.
Okay, the motion's been made to accept the budget that was requested by the sheriff. Any discussion?
Yes, ma'am, I think if we would take the $150,000 that was set aside for tearing down homes, or the $150,000 for rail trails, when we've already budgeted $700,000 out of levy for these issues, and you have taken money previously out of other funds for rail trails. That's $150,000 for tearing down homes, and $150,000 needed to for rail trails is no longer needed out of general fund, and it needs to be moved over and allow the sheriff to continue to supply Harrison County with the proper law enforcement and protection that we've come to enjoy under his leadership.
Susan, that comment before you guys vote?
Probably not supposed to, but
We asked that we all be professional here and that we'll be able to speak. And I think, out of respect for your sheriff of the county, if I have something to tell you why this budget won't work for the sheriff's office, you should at least respect me to hear what I have to say. If you're authorizing me to speak, I'll let you speak to a few of these minutes.
go ahead. But again, I think, go ahead.
Well, I mean, you're the president of the commission, but it's just, I'd like to ask, on my map here real quick, because, I just was provided this document to look at. It looks like it cuts against the sheriff's position. For law enforcement.
It does not.
It does not cut it.
It does not.
So that's good. Then I look down and I'm real happy that you put $250,000 towards cruisers. But what I didn't know when I saw that is that you cut out my new equipment. And when I asked for $300,000, I asked for $300,000 in addition in our new equipment. So with this budget, what you're doing, I'll have to do away with the body cams. We pay $68,000 a year for body cams, and you've essentially cut this out here. I know Commissioner Treecause has a defund the police narrative, and this proves it to me, and I just hope that
Sure.
everybody else. May I finish?
No, actually,
I wanna finish, but-
you
No,
have
I
said
wanna
in the
finish.
past, from the back room, that we have no authority over you whatsoever as
You don't.
sheriff, and we do not.
You
And
do
we
not.
respect that. Right now, this is her meeting, and you have no authority to be speaking in her meeting.
Well, she gave me authority to speak.
No, she actually
So,
didn't. She
are
made
you
it twice, but she
president?
didn't.
She did.
No, I didn't.
She did
You told
not.
me I could speak.
No, she did not.
No, I did. Yes, I did.
She is,
Yes, you did.
Yes,
we have all
yes, I
been more
did.
than
See, that's the
respectful,
problem
because you're the
with that. So you
sheriff.
say one thing.
Okay,
and
now
you
see
turn around
here,
and do
see, we're
Right.
already, it's out of control.
May I finish on the floor?
No,
You can finish,
This is
but let me
public
tell you,
safety
let me
issue.
tell you, we have just found out about the
Body cam.
body cams.
Yeah.
We
Would you
also,
please explain to him what,
we also are aware that your last payment for those goes in this fiscal year, and you're in negotiations for the next fiscal year, which we don't know what that payment is. So we're prepared to, once you figure out what you need,
then address it and take care of that issue.
Well, it's gonna be the same. I mean, it's just a continued, it's. a
But you don't
continuous-
have it currently. That's the thing, you don't have it now. It's not in existence now.
Well, it would be nice if we would have had these conversations, you know, and I'm just
Well, we
looking at
are
this.
having it.
What I'm saying
I'm
is-
glad you brought it up.
So that's a problem. And so essentially what you're taking new equipment down to is $7,000. So what that gives us, before we were able to buy 2 cruisers a year. So it looks like you put the 250 over to where we can maybe get 12 cruisers on lease purchase. You know, that's half of what I've asked. That's half of what it's going to take to get us where we need. It's going to help us initially, but it's not going to help 2 or 3 years down the road.
Well, we're not-
I'm okay with that.
But I mean,
I'm okay with
I'm gonna, the thoughts here, Robert, are, this is what we're gonna do now, and I wanna revisit. I'm just speaking for myself. I think we all need to revisit this again next year.
But if you look down my budget, I mean, every line, everyone's been cut. Like I say, I know Patsy's intent, and I don't like it, I don't appreciate it. I think it's a slap in the face so long.
Anything else? All of us. are
I have a
gonna say-
question for the sheriff. Are we gonna have body cams or not with this budget?
Not with this budget, we will not, and that will be you know, something we'll have to notify the insurance company and whatnot, because it's just gonna be a travesty. I'm sure the prosecutor, I don't want to speak for her, but that will cause problems in her office. But no, there's no money in this budget to fund that.
Did we vote on his budget?
My motion's on the floor to pass his budget.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was good.
Okay.
No.
Opposed?
No.
Okay.
Again, Susan, I can't hear anything.
You voted no. We voted no.
I'm gonna call for a roll call vote, please.
I just told you what it was. You voted in favor. Patsy and I voted against.
Thank you.
And I'm not by any means opposed to law enforcement, so I'm just gonna put that out there, because everybody's gonna want, okay.
Actions speak louder than words.
You make a motion for staff's recommendation, okay? Motion was made for staff's recommendation. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Service of process,
Motion approved, third process 701.
staff's recommendation.
Staff's recommendation.
A motion's been made to approve staff's recommendation for service of process 701. Any discussion?
Yes, ma'am. I make a motion to pass the requested budget presented by the sheriff for service of process as stated for $299,209.
Okay, the motion's been made to accept the service of process 701 as requested by the sheriff. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Ma'am, I'd like to have a discussion on that, please.
Okay,
Again, we have 300,000 in 2 line items that are covered by the levy and should be put into the budget or into the general county fund to pay so that we can properly fund the request by the elected officials. That's all.
okay. All in favor of the motion on the floor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
No. Okay. Motion's on the floor for staff recommendation for 701. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None, motion carried.
Motion approved jail holding 703.
Motion's
Staff
been made to approve staging jail holding 703 as recommended by staff. Any discussion?
Grossly mismanaged. It's crazy.
Okay, thank you for your comment. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Motion approved home confinement
Wait a minute,
705.
motion carried. Now, what are you doing?
Home confinement 705.
704 regional jail.
Okay, sorry.
Regional Jail 704.
704.
Motion to approve Regional Jail 704. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Now, I'm sorry, home confinement 705. Motion approved the staff recommendation.
Motion to approve staff's recommendation on home confinement 705. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Fire Department 713.
Motion approved staff recommendation.
Motion to approve staff's recommendation. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried.
Motion approved garage operations 717.
Motion to approve garage operations 717. Any discussion?
Yes, ma'am. If we're not going to replace cruisers, does maintenance of repaired vehicles going to cover the cost? When you have, what is it there? Of 35,000, we're going to make the sheriff use cars longer than necessary. Is that going to be enough money? I think that's underfunded. And maintenance of equipment's probably then underfunded. I don't know what all's in those. Supplies, materials, oil, gas, tires.
How much do you want to add to it, David?
I think if you're not gonna replace the cruisers, you're gonna have to maintenance repair vehicles. Probably it's gonna have to double, at least 70. If we're gonna ask them to keep these cars running longer. And in that case, your oil and gas and tires probably needs to go up another 10 to 15,000.
Well, whatever you want to, what do you think? Because
I mean, those are my recommendations. If we're not
Go from
buying,
35
as
down.
I understood it, we're only funding 12 cruisers
Yeah,
of the
because
24 that he asked for, correct? So I just need to know what was taken into consideration when we weren't gonna buy new vehicles, what we did to maintain them.
Have to, we'll put it in there.
Right.
We're not gonna let them.
Okay, motion approved staff recommendation.
Motion to approve staff's recommendation.
Go ahead, get this first.
Oh, he didn't make a motion. All in favor signify, this is for 717. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
So no,
Any opposed?
Library 916.
Motion approved library 916.
Motion to approve library 916. Any discussion on that? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried.
Emergency service.
So this gives us a final budget of 23,859, 345. I just want to make that clear.
You we need a motion then to approve the final budget.
Yes.
Motion to approve the final budget as staff recommendation.
Motion to approve the final budget as recommended by staff. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
no.
Do we have to do emergency service 711? Or is that levy? It doesn't matter.
That's levy.
Okay, so that doesn't matter.
We need to do full seven.
Okay. Motion to approve full severance.
Motion's been made to approve coal severance. Any discussion?
One moment, please.
We do. I'll have to get some more.
Mr. Hinkle?
Yes, ma'am. Again, I have to go find that.
What's the final number?
Again, ma'am, I'd like to be able to look at it and discuss. So I'll tell you what, just go ahead and call the vote.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Motion to approve the levy as stated by the county administrator,
As recommended.
as recommended by the county administrator.
Okay, motion has been made to approve the levy budgets as presented by the staff and their recommendation. 711, emergency services. 715, ambulance authority. 716, animal control. Courthouse security, 730. Health department, 800. Health access, 802. Susan Duhoff Clinic, 804. Parks and Rec, 900. And Harrison County Improvement Opportunity, 913. Bi-County, 950. Child Advocacy, 950. Senior Center Satellites. Total levy. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any
Discussion.
opposed?
Susan, you can't read those and not allow any discussion.
I'm sorry, what's the discussion?
First off is other improvements on 913. Why is there no breakdown on where this money is going to be spent? And you've broken down every other thing under the levy with some kind of breakdown. I mean, you did it for animal control, you did it for 911. Why don't we have any breakdown on this, on where this money's going?
There's $700,000 in there for whatever commission deems it falls in the categories that were approved on the levy.
Okay, so then why are we telling Parks and Rec how to spend money when in the levy, we do not have the authority to do that?
Currently, because we still have not fully separated from them, the discussion has been made to still do the budget for Parks and Rec. And of course, starting July 1st, they'll take care of everything from there on. But for the time being, we still had to break down the budget.
Am I the only one that's read the levy call? The levy does not allow in the call for the Harrison County Commission to tell Parks and Rec where to spend money, senior citizens where to spend money, or the ambulance authority. So again, I'm asking why we're doing the ambulance authority and why we don't, if it's good enough for the ambulance authority, tell them how to spend the money, why isn't it good enough for us? But you can do it for us, but we have no say over this. Ambulance authority, senior citizens, or parks. The levy plainly states that that is their money to do as they want. And we are not charged in any form by the taxpayers of this county to discuss how that money's spent any more than you do for health access, health department, Susan Duoff, any of those, they all fall under the same heading that you all passed and sent to the public for the levy. Read your levy call. So I want to amend that those three items come out of our breakdown. We have no say over how their money is spent. And I'm not an amendment, I make a motion that they be awarded their money and not budgeted their money, and they be paid on a quarterly basis.
Okay.
Mr. Hinkle has made the motion to not break out a budget for Parks and Rec, Ambulance Authority, and who else, Mr. Hinkle?
Senior citizens.
Seen anything under the levy, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. We do not have the authority to budget that money.
Okay. Let me make sure I have this correct. You have made a motion to not break any, and not have any budgets for those that were listed in the levy call under vital services.
Yes, ma'am. It didn't fall under the levy call, Harrison County Commission / Animal Control, 911, Harrison County Security. It's not hard. Read the levy.
We'll call the question.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No.
Yeah, aye.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sure, David.
Well,
It's their baby.
I'll vote no.
Okay. Let them do with their money what they want. Okay, what else we got on?
We've done full severance, we've done vital, we've done general.
Do we have to approve the,
So the levy rate we had before.
So I got a question. You all voted to approve the county budget or the budgets for the levy as presented by staff.
No.
David.
no, we voted to do it just the way you said, David. We're gonna give them their money and they're gonna roll with it. Is
Hallelujah.
there anything else that needs to be voted on?
No, we'll come back and set the levy, and
But not law enforcement.
Okay. You have any more discussion?
I have nothing.
David, any more discussion? Okay, motion adjourned.
Motion to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Nice job. First budget so far.